Hi, Mark here from the Tangent-Bound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangent-Bound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangent-Bound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangentBoundNetwork.com and see if Tangent-Bound Network is right for you.
Sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. A light sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time. Stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everyone. My name is Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, as always, we have Brian and Henno. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
And I think my dog just destroyed something. So if you hear him running around in the background. Oh, what a fun day.
Awesome.
So how are you guys?
Laughing.
Yeah. I'm all right. You know, it's weird. Last week I had, I felt like I was kind of like riding a bit of a high, you know, like still kind of doing okay overall. And, I went to therapy this week and, you know, I talked with her about how, you know, I had a couple things happen this week that, where I actually caught myself, you know, a few weeks ago when I talked about like how she gave me that worksheet about, triggering events. Essentially. Mm-hmm. And, I actually, you know, caught myself, you know, at that moment where I was like, oh, this is a triggering event. And, you know, and that I was able to, you know, just let it go. Here, actually, you know what? I'll tell the story real quick because it's going to sound really petty, but it's very reminiscent of Henno's story about the hot dogs. If anyone listening remembers. Okay. So, all right, I've had stomach issues for a long time, so when I get up, I have to eat, like, almost immediately, or I'll have tummy problems all day, right? So a lot of times I keep stuff like Slim Fast or a Carnation Instant Breakfast, something along those lines around, so that if I need a quick breakfast, I can, you know, just shoot one of those. Well, the day I had therapy, I put one in the fridge the night before it was my last one. When I got up, I started walking towards the fridge, and my mom's like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, what? And she's like, you know, it's gone. And, you know, Jim, her partner, he drank it because he just thought it was open game basically. And, that was the moment because normally I'd be like Henno said back when he told the hot dog story. It's like you see something of yours gone and you're just like, really? You know, like it was the only one in there. Like it wasn't there the night before, you know, kind of but I caught myself, like I did have that, like I felt myself kind of rolling into that, and then I stopped it, and it was like, you know, the first thing that popped into my head was realistically, is this the appropriate reaction? No, it's really not. It's a little like protein shake, essentially, you know, a light protein shake. Like, is this the hill you want to die on? No. You know, is this really worth a fight or being angry? No, it's not. It just stinks. It's an inconvenience, you know. And there's elements of I could have done things to prevent things. I could have put a note on it. I could have gotten up earlier so that in the event something happened, I could have still ate a full breakfast, you know, gotten something else to eat. You know, this kind of stuff. And that's where my head went instead, was like, you know, could I have prevented this? Yeah, actually I could have. You know, I could have just put a note on this that says, you know, please don't drink, or I could have hid it, you know, in the fridge somewhere. But whatever. And in the end, I was, you know, I was irritated, and I feel like irritated is the appropriate response to that, you know, cause it was a little inconsiderate. It was, you know, cause no thought was given to, is this okay? You know, when it's the last one kind of a thing. And, you know, I was raised in a household where if you're going to take the last of something, you ask to make sure it's not someone else's, or that there's not already like a claim on it kind of a thing. So I think that's why it bothered me more than the actual deed itself did, you know? So I caught myself there, and I was telling my therapist about it, you know, and she's like, that's really good. She's like, cause you know, she's like, that's the kind of thing where you can easily really overreact to it. You know, she's like, this is the kind of thing where a lot of times people will go off and yell at somebody or get into a fight with someone over it, you know, and she's like, and then when you look back at it and it's like, was that worth it? and I was like, nope. And again, it took me right back to, you know, Henno with the hot dogs, because, you know, it was the same things. Like, in the end, it's like, is this really worth getting mad over? No. So, you know.
Exactly. No, that's awesome that you're able to recognize it and stop. I mean, honestly, that's probably one of the biggest battles, is understanding how to recognize before you're in a bad situation.
Yeah. It is. And again, that was, you know, it's like, really, would you want to get into a fight with somebody over, you know, it's like, there are a lot of people out there that might, you know.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
You would, because it's natural. You feel violated.
Yeah.
You
know? And I did. I really did. You know?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same
played
time.
out the tape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you played it out.
Yeah.
Okay. I had it's funny that you brought this up, because I had the exact same experience today with a restraint of tongue and pen. Same thing. I got to work, and there was an email from my mom, because I forgot to call her on Friday about some stuff with the reception. And it was just dripping with sarcasm and passive aggressiveness.
I bet. Well, you were a terrible son. I mean, you know, what are you going to do?
Oh, and it was brilliantly done.
Yeah.
I mean, she did it well, but it's also one of those things where that's the stuff that your mother did to you that you said that you would never do to us.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've called her on this stuff in the past. And I just sat and I wrote about 5 responses.
I've been there so many times.
Been there, sure.
With various levels of
Yep. Various levels of sarcasm, anger.
Like from snide to just flat out rude and, you know, big middle finger.
Yeah.
And in the end, I'm like, okay, just do nothing right now. Just do nothing. And I texted my sister. And, you know, my sister just classic, well, she can help herself. That
is the case. So often it is the case.
It is.
So true. People who they are.
Yep.
Yeah. And and it's like, it's so hard to me. Like I want to correct the behavior, but I'm going, is this really now the time? Cause I played out the tape too.
Yeah.
If I say this, there is no good that comes of this. It just gets worse.
Exactly.
I
Yep. Yep.
Like worse.
Totally right.
There's nothing. And I'm like, okay. And so there were a few I just back and forth with my sister on a few things, just kind of, you know, joking around about it. Just, you know, family stuff, right? And so after, I went and did something else, and after a while, I'm like, okay, I think I can respond appropriately now.
Right. Well, there is something too. We've talked on here. Jen's mentioned how I talk about how I have a Rolodex for people. Like when I'm talking to them, like the first comment that pops into my head, sometimes I'm like, this isn't appropriate. Turn. Is this one appropriate? No, one more. Okay, here we go. And that's essentially what you did with your emails is your first, how many ever, when you're looking back at them, you're like, ooh, all right, that's a little too harsh. She deserves that one, but I'm not going to send it. I get it. Yeah.
This one, we won't talk for a month.
Yeah.
This one, there will be no reception.
Yeah.
It was literally like that. And so then finally I sent the one that was just me, apologizing and saying, had things happened on Friday and I didn't even get, cause that was the other thing is I had a long list of there wasn't a reason for why, I was going to list the whole reason. My sister pointed it out perfectly. She's like, well, she'll accept that, but then she'll keep bringing that up. And I'm like, you're right. She will. Then she'll focus on that and talk about that all the time. And I'm like, you're right. I don't want to go to there. So
I love how Heno had to go to his political strategist before responding.
Seriously. Yeah, I literally had to go to the communications director.
It really is that way, though. I mean, but it's for the best most of the time when you do that kind of stuff. Cause
and it was the perfect thing where my sister knows where this goes, and it was so great. So then, I sent an email back and I said, I'll give you a call on Monday night. I need to talk to Sharon about a few things. And I got an email back, and my mother told me all about the cancer that they found this week.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Wow. So now you're really glad that you didn't throw all that at her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the other part. Thanks, Elise, for telling me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know she knew, but
she knew.
Wow.
Because my mom said that Elise is because my dad still just he can't drive. He's basically stopped driving. And so my sister's volunteered to take her to the hospital for her appointment this week.
Right.
And I'm like, and I'm not blaming my sister. My sister obviously thought I knew.
Yeah.
But medical stuff and communication in my family is like this. It's just like, I'm like, this happens literally every single time. And it's not on purpose or anything. It's just one of those, when we talk.
Yeah.
Right? If I'd have called her on Friday, I would have found out. Right?
There's that. Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But all I did is I sent a text to my sister, and I'm like, oh, cancer, huh? Well, good thing I didn't, say this and this.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it was just such a great lesson again about
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, there's like you mentioned, it's like there's no winning. It reminds me of like you'll hear sometimes like you'll hear an athlete like attack the fans, and it's like you'll hear commentators going, bad move. You can't win by attacking the fans. And it's kind of that way with, certain situations, like with your parents and stuff too, like just no matter what you do, it's like, yeah, but it's just not worth it.
Yeah. It's like that, it's like, it's the old, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Also, like the thing, where your parents always treat you, quit treating me like a kid. Well, guess what? You're their kid always.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, dad's gonna say dad things and mom's gonna say mom things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how much time has gone by. And sure, it's hopefully it's gotten better, but it's gonna happen at times.
Now, and of course, I'm gonna say this, even though I don't think I have to, but it's like, I'm obviously not referring to anything that is, abusive, those kind of situations. I'm meaning just like Heno was saying, or just getting a lecture about how you don't call enough or whatever. I'm talking more about that kind of stuff, the gentle nudging.
Yeah, exactly. So when I got home, I called tonight.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Because I'm not a complete jerk.
Right. Oh man, 2 weeks.
I'll wait till Monday.
2 weeks in a row. Oh man, that'd be, or not 2 weeks, but 2 times in a row there. That'd be,
yeah.
Right.
And it was great. We resolved everything, and boom, everything's back on plan stuff. And she still just cracks me up. It's because she's been talking about how for like a few weeks she's even said it, and I've just noticed that she seems tired. She seems fatigued. Mm-hmm. And so I go, well, maybe this explains some of your fatigue. And she's like, oh no, the fatigue has nothing to do with this. That has to do with me being 81. I'm like, okay.
Tough to argue with that, but yeah.
But how could I,
Yeah.
So, but basically what is she had breast cancer, said double mastectomy, just take them. It hadn't gone into the lymph nodes, so there's no issue, but they still did radiation just in case, just to make sure that there was nothing left. She's just like, hey, if we're doing this, just do it. And so they did the whole thing, but evidently something's gone into one of the lymph nodes in one of the glands. So they're like, well, we can do the little, whatever they call it, some poke biopsy kind of thing. Yeah. Or they're like, or we can just cut it open and pull it out and then see what it was, if it was benign or malignant or whatever. And so that's what they're going to do. And I'm sure she'll get some chemo. And the main thing was, she's going to, if they do that this week and they hit her, they start her on radiation in 2 weeks, it might not be a big deal for the reception, or it might, and sure. She was really wanting to help. And it's like, okay, no, we'll figure out a way to make this as easy as possible. Cause that was the other thing, is like we're going to be there a whole day before the reception. Yeah. I have literally, we get there Thursday night. I have all day Friday to get everything ready before Saturday. Right. I'm like, don't worry about it.
You'll have plenty of people there to help you.
Yeah.
And stuff too,
everything's going to be fine. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal. So,
right.
Yeah, that was and then my great news is they finally got the appraisal back, and I have more than enough equity to get the loan taken care of. So it all went into their final phase, their quality control. Mm-hmm. And so awesome. I went by on Friday and talked to my bank rep, and she said, I'll let them know that you're, going out of town and da-da-da. And I got the message saying, 3 to 5 days, you'll be signing paperwork. So, by Friday at the latest, and this whole thing will have taken a month, which is just amazing. And, it's going to be a weird feeling.
Yeah, I bet.
It's going to be a weird feeling to sit there and say, okay, this is all gone now.
Yeah.
So.
Right. That's awesome.
We'll update everyone next week.
Yay!
Right.
That's exciting.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, sounds like you had kind of a nice little roller coaster week. Or last few days anyways, at least.
Yeah.
And some downs, my goodness.
Yeah.
So... I'm doing good. I have to be honest with everybody. I slipped on my meds again, which I know I've been so bad about. I'm so bad.
I can't get on you much this time because I went to my therapy and I had a list with me of prescriptions I needed more of because I was almost out of. And totally forgot, and then forgot to call Friday. So I can't get them refilled until tomorrow. And these are ones including, my gout medicine, my blood pressure medicine. Technically I'm out of my antidepressant, but luckily I have samples left from when they gave me samples. So I'm covered there at least.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I went into the pharmacy and was like, is there any way you can give me more for the weekend? They're like, your doctor declined the new or to send us a new prescription. And I was like, great. It means I got to go in for whatever, which is fine. I don't care. But it's like, you think they could still give me blood pressure medicine.
Yeah. Right.
Even if it's like, look, we'll give you like 3 days worth, not the pharmacy. I mean, like the doctor's office, Yeah. I've been on blood pressure medicine since, God, for how long now? 7 years. It's like, it's not like it's new, So anyway, sorry, Jen, I jumped all over.
Oh no, that's okay. About. But yeah, so I've gotten back on it, and surprisingly enough, I feel better.
Huh.
Go figure.
Shocking how that works.
That's wild.
But yeah,
hold on, let me write that down.
Yeah. I'm still having some residual stuff, where I've been getting very cranky and short-tempered, which is not me usually.
Yeah.
I'm usually pretty even keel.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've been getting short, kind of, very quick to snap.
Well, let me ask you a quick question about that. Could that have anything to do with the fact you're doing home repairs? No, I'm being 100% serious. Because if you ever notice when stuff like that's going on, people sometimes, you kind of snap at people and all that because it's,
I am ready to have my house back to where it needs to be. And, that's always been a thing for me that I'm not a good housekeeper and I've never claimed to be. But there is a certain level of comfort that I have to be at, and I have to be able to get my house to that certain level. And I'm really struggling with getting it to that level at this point. There's dust everywhere. There's, drywall everywhere and, mudding and tape. And it's been a lot.
Yeah. It's
been an absolute lot. And, I'm kind of, there's still stuff going on at work that's been weighing on my mind. So I've had quite a few different, stressors that I think has made me irritable, and stuff. And so me going off the meds was not the best choice. And I hate to say it, but in complete honesty, I really think it was just more laziness than anything. I just didn't want to take them.
Yeah.
And that's not a good reason by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. So I'm owning on here for you guys. I just dropped the ball. But the good news is that I can pick the ball back up again.
It's true.
Yep.
So, and then the only person I hurt was myself, basically. And it wasn't even all that hard. So I will pick the ball back up, and I've been on the meds for the last couple days, and I've been feeling better. Shocker of all shockers. So things are going good. In a nutshell.
Good.
Yes.
Oh, I discovered something that going 75 miles an hour on a motorcycle for 2 hours tends to get pollen shot straight up into your sinus cavities, and then your nose runs for 3 days straight.
That sounds like a good time, Hanno.
I could not believe, it's, hey, it's allergy season, right?
Yeah.
And we just flat out.
Yep.
And I take meds every day. Mm-hmm. It's just, I take them no matter what. I don't take them when I need.
Yeah,
I'm
same here.
on them all the time, right?
Yep.
And so for the most part, I might get a tiny little bit congested, but I rarely have runny nose.
Yeah.
And I drove to Pocatello, and which is basically it's a 2.5 hour drive, 2.5 to 3 hour drive. And I'm on my bike, and I got there, and within an hour, it was it's just running out my face.
Oh no!
I've been there before.
It didn't stop for 2 days.
Yeah. It's funny.
I was like,
that's miserable.
Usually that's what happens when I'm in water.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. It was bad here yesterday. I walked outside and I was like, oh God, it was humid, and it was just people are cutting their grass all around us, and because it wasn't a bad day. It was just humid for me and stuff. And I walked outside, and we were gone for, I don't know, half an hour. And by the time we came back, I was so miserable, my nose was congested, and I started sneezing again. We get in the house, and we had the air on here, and about half an hour-ish later, and all of a sudden, I'm able to breathe again. And, I was like, oh, this is so much better. It's no wonder why I hate going outside.
No kidding.
Outside's all that.
Sure.
Yeah. That's why I joked before, I've talked about on dating profiles, I see all these ones where it's I want to do anything outside. I love out. And I'm like, nope. Because I'm like,
swipe.
Yeah. Because it makes me miserable, I can take it for a little while, but then it's about a half an hour to an hour. And if it's bad, and then I'm like, oh, this is horrible. So.
Ugh.
I can't even imagine, Heno. Like I've had some runny nose from stuff, but I've never gone that far, you know, on a motorcycle. I've been in a convertible and gone a decent distance, and by the end of that, I was pretty miserable. So that's about the closest I can get.
Yeah.
All right.
I was just like, that's just a direct sinus injection.
Yeah, it was.
Right? Of the worst kind.
Yeah. Like I could even feel, it was like, I could feel where it was tickling me, like right here, like the whole time.
Right.
You know?
Well, at least you weren't sneezing the whole time.
You know, and I was at times, you know, like that night.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Oh no, I meant on the motorcycle.
Oh, I don't think I could because it was just being rammed right back up there.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably what was going on.
And you know what it was? It was just it just happened to be, you know, I have a shield, so usually I don't have a lot of air, but it was windy. Mm-hmm. And it was odd because the wind was coming in and I felt like my nostrils were being like moved. It's the weirdest feeling. I'm like, wow. Oh, it's going right in my nose. It was so funny. It just and I was just, man, that was just sneezing uncontrollably. And I was just like, I'd take more medication, but I'm on all of it.
Right? Like what I said a few weeks ago when I went to the doctor, and he was like, "You're already on all the stuff." Like,
yeah.
Dang it.
All right.
Okay.
There you have it.
I guess all I have left is move.
Yes, that's the lovely place we live in.
Mm. Yep. Good times though.
Oh,
so what do we got for tonight?
Well, we've got a great article on relaxing. And I think it's a perfect time of year where it's nice outside and everyone is getting things done. But it's also really important that we focus on relaxing, especially when you have anxieties and stuff, how to relax appropriately. And we're not talking, you know, sitting back and having, you know, 5, 6, 7 beers types of relaxing, because that's not necessarily the most effective way of relaxing.
I disagree. I disagree. It works perfectly well. It'll relax you. Yeah. It'll
relax you, but it's not the most effective, shall we say, way of going about permanent relaxation or relaxing on a regular basis.
Right. It's not something you can sustain. It's not something you can do everywhere.
Yes, it's not sustainable. Yeah. I think that's a great word for it.
You know, if you need to relax at work, you probably shouldn't, you know, pull out a bottle of scotch, you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So with that, since my phone's almost dead, Brian's got the article, so I'm going to let Brian take the lead on this one and help us to relax, Brian.
Breathe. No.
Got you sleeping.
So Jen sent this article she just mentioned, and it's got a bunch of tips. It's got 40 ways to relax in 5 minutes or less. And do you want to go through all of these ways, or just kind of the bigger point?
Just the bigger points, and ones that strike you as interesting or good.
The first one says food and drink, which, again, doesn't mean the kind of drink that we were just referencing. But it's, you know, actually I can kind of breeze through these a little bit here. Like this one, it says like sip green tea, have a little bit of chocolate, you know, it says slurp some honey, which... Oh, okay, because apparently honey provides compounds that reduce inflammation in the brain, meaning it fights depression and anxiety. So there's a good reason.
Green tea with honey with a chocolate bar.
Yeah. Bite into a mango. Chew gum, which that one I've heard plenty of times. You know, chewing gum, that's actually why I chew gum when I do, a lot of times. It's, you know, munch a crunchy snack, unless you're around me, because then I'll go crazy. From hearing it. But it, you know, it doesn't have to be anything that's bad for you, you know, like celery, carrots, those kind of things, you know, fit the thing too. But it says, study found, stressed adults crave crunchy and salty snacks more than normal when they're stressed. But again, you know, doesn't have to be something sugary. You can find better things. like with all of this, because again, sipping a scotch could be just as relaxing as sipping a green tea, but we're not necessarily endorsing, all of that. What about you guys?
I recommend peanut butter is also a great, if you're looking for something that's a really yummy, easy, salty, but somewhat sweet type of a snack item. I always love peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take big scoop of peanut butter before I went to bed to keep me from sleepwalking when I was a kid.
Really?
Oh, nice.
And it worked.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
Was it because your mom would just hit you in the head with the spoon? Or it was a big old style metal spoon?
Like I would seriously like walk in, and I even remember a lot of it, like where I would walk in, my mom and dad are watching TV, and I'd all of a sudden look at them, and they'd look at me, and they'd go back to bed, and I go, okay, I turn around and walk back, and I remember doing it, but I was not awake.
That's weird.
Huh.
And there was a lot, and there evidently it happened a lot where I don't remember, but there were many times where I remember the next day I was like, oh yeah, that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just flat out sleepwalking, and the doctor suggested a big scoop of peanut butter before I went to bed.
Really?
Don't know why. And it worked. I wouldn't sleepwalk those nights. So
all right, well, there you go.
Something in there maybe.
Yeah. All right. Well, if nothing else, I mean,
good to know.
If nothing else, peanut butter's delicious, and it's got, good fat and protein. Anyway, moving on.
Unless you're allergic.
Yeah.
If you're allergic,
Well,
don't
yeah,
eat
obviously
peanut
then
butter.
don't do it. Sleepwalking's better than Yeah, I can't say it.
Yeah,
Asphyxiating.
generally
There we
speaking, yeah, if you have a legume
go. Yeah.
allergy,
Maybe
not
so.
a good idea.
Yeah, probably a bad call. All right, the next section here says inner peace, which, we've talked about a lot of these already, like meditation. And, I think a lot of people don't even realize, and I've been telling people this as I've talked about meditation, is that sometimes it's like you can just meditate for like 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be like some prolonged, it doesn't have to be half an hour and any lengthy session. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, or 10 minutes, something like, can make a huge difference in people, just give you a nice, a springboard to start your day and a nice way to kind of pull everything back in and relax before bed. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a long set, or if you're just sitting in your car sometimes, like right before you go into work, if you have a couple minutes, you can do it, or, lunch hour, those kind of things. Just sneak it in when you can. The next one is, lay your head on a cushion or pillow, which, this is an interesting one. I like this. It's not necessarily for sleeping or napping purposes. It's just for relaxing, essentially, which is lay your head down for a few minutes and imagine the pillow as a sponge sucking up all your worries.
That's kind of a nice idea.
It's a good visualization technique. But it would seem weird, but most of these things seem weird, like until you start doing them and you're like,
it feels weird at first.
Yeah, it feels weird until it works. And then you're like, yeah, this is, and then, okay, this is all right then. The next one, shocker, remember to breathe.
Breathe, people.
Yep. Oh, wow. I've never heard of that. Have you ever heard of, I don't want to mispronounce this, but there's a yogic method of breathing that involves trying to breathe through one nostril at a time to relieve anxiety?
That's weird, but interesting.
I don't know how you could, I could do it easily a lot of days because I just can't breathe through the other nostril. But anyway, yeah, just, but focusing on your breathing is a good grounding technique as well. While you're doing it, you can close your eyes, or you can, while you're doing the breathing, kind of look at your hands, other things too. And it can lower your blood pressure and heart rate. The next one is try progressive relaxation, which is kind of the same idea. It's like anxious, just squeeze, release, and repeat. Like squeeze your hand, release it, repeat, like that kind of thing, because you start focusing on what you're doing. And it says to do that like through your body, like start with your hand, work your, then go to your forearm, your bicep, shoulder.
I was told to start with the toes and work your way up to your head. And after you tighten, relax. And when you're laying down trying to go to sleep, you imagine the body part sinking into the bed.
Yeah.
So that you're kind of, you're focused on centering yourself and sinking down and getting planted in the bed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. I think one of the reasons meditation actually came easy to me is because when I was younger, I actually tried self-hypnosis. And those are a lot of those same kind of concepts, you know, that they teach you to do self-hypnosis. And what I didn't realize is that really what I was doing was just meditation.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. Yeah. I thought I was doing something really tricky.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of those same ideas about, you know, sinking into bed and the pillow and, of course, breathing and all those things were all part of the self-hypnosis.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Well, the next one kind of fits it too, which is count backward. And that one makes sense too because it's a way of, it's a relaxation technique.
I was part of that too. Yep. Started 100.
Yep. It's also a technique that people have used / laughed at for anger issues. You know, count backwards from 100 or count to, you know, they'll say count to 10 or, you know, whatever, counting kind of a thing. But I think counting backwards, for some people, especially if you pick a higher number, can be a little harder because you have to generally think, you know, it's kind of like doing the alphabet backwards. I was told that at one point too, to kind of try to do that, as a mental exercise to go backward, because it kind of wears you down mentally. But counting backwards, like you said, it's just as you're doing it, you're just kind of sinking because you're focusing on that count.
And the other one that I use specifically for sleeping, but is stare at the back of your eyelids. And it's the weirdest thing, but when you close your eyes, your body automatically rolls your eyes back. It's just your eyes just automatically just go back. So if you force them to stare at the back of your eyelids, it takes all your concentration to go against what your body wants to do. And eventually your mind can't carry on its, you know, barrage of whatever that's been, you know, anxieties and all this other stuff going on inside there and do this focused, you know, focusing on the back of your eyelids.
Yeah.
So pretty soon you end up falling right asleep.
All right. The next one here says, use creative visualization. Basically pick, you know, daydream, find something or think of something that makes you happy and visualize the scenario. You know, because you'll notice kind of a theme here. Visualization is a very big part of relaxation because it breaks whatever is, like if you're stressed about bills or whatever, you're not thinking about them. You're thinking about something else. It's a way of distracting you to kind of let your body reset so that you're not in that constant state of worry.
That's interesting because I've done that with for mood change. And I even mean like putting myself in if I needed to stay awake because I was driving and I needed to not relax, I've done visualization of things that make me really angry and it kept me awake. Now I had a total emotional hangover the next day.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's funny.
But I was putting myself in situations that really got my ire up.
Got your adrenaline pumping.
It works though. So it works because it shifts.
It will keep you awake. Yeah, I can imagine.
It can help shift your mood. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
And then the next one in this group was the one Jen just talked about, which was close your eyes. You know, because it says, you know, it's an easy way to regain calm and focus, which that's the truth. So the next section here is about total body relaxation. And the first one it says is give yourself a hand massage. And
not a massage with your hand, a hand massage.
Yeah, it's where you use one hand and massage the other hand. Yeah. But it says can
I just pet my dog?
Yeah. It says calms a pounding heart. Massages can be especially helpful for people who spend a lot of time typing on a keyboard, which that makes sense, or your phone. Either one. Mm-hmm. Hands in general can carry a lot of tension. Apply some luxurious lotion and start kneading the base of the muscle under the thumb to relieve stress in the shoulders, neck, and scalp.
I don't know about you folks out there, but my mind is going in the wrong direction on this whole hand massage thing.
You both are heathens.
Yes, we are. So to try to bring it back to something more respectable.
Right.
So my chiropractor did some pressure point stuff with my hands.
Yeah.
That flat out fried my tree. Like I was like, we were doing work on my legs. And he started making me do things with my fingers, and it made a difference with what my leg was able to do.
That's
and
wild.
I'm just like, what the? And
yeah, it's crazy.
It blew me away. And it was just that reminder of like, there's a reason why, there's these certain hand massages and like you said, right, the base of the thumb and various things that they have effect. I mean, it was weird. I'm like, are you serious? How I hold my fingers is going to affect which way my freaking ankle goes?
Yeah. Well, like I said a little bit ago, seems weird until it works. And then
exactly.
It's not weird anymore.
Crazy.
Connected.
Yeah. The next one kind of goes off of what Henno was just talking about, which is try acupressure. Well, not kind of. It is what he was talking about. I didn't see the whole thing. I thought it said acupuncture. That's why I was like, wait a minute. These are all ones you can do to yourself. Like, it'd be weird sitting there just putting pins in your own hand. But yeah.
Done.
Yeah. It's, so we'll just move on from that one because Henno just explained it.
Explain acupressure.
Yeah. The next one, which I've done, but not with what it says, which is rub your feet over a golf ball. I used a tennis ball because I had some tendinitis in the arch of my foot, and it worked so great. And I know some people use like Tony, my co-host on Salty Language, talked about, and I know people use like they have tubes and stuff for this now also that you can roll for people with sciatica. That will, they roll, what are those foam rollers or whatever, and you just kind of roll yourself back and forth on them. Or Tony used I can't remember what it was. Was it a lacrosse ball?
It was.
Yeah. Okay. And he rolled his shoulders on it and it loosened his shoulder up because basically you're giving yourself a massage with it, But yeah, using that one on my foot, man, because like I said, I had that tendinitis in my foot, and I used to have to do it pretty regularly. And I, every once in a while I still do, so I always keep a tennis ball in the house just in case I ever have to roll, and it can be, I've used it for my shoulders too, although it doesn't work as well on the shoulders because you're, it's a thicker muscle.
And just once again, pressure points.
Yep.
One of the ones that my chiropractor gave me too was for my neck stuff, and I just didn't think it would make that much of a difference. But he'd say, take a towel and roll it super duper duper tight, and put it underneath my neck and lie on the floor.
Yeah,
and I was like, what's this gonna? It just doesn't seem like a significant enough of an object.
Yeah,
but it just pushed just right. I was like, wow, and it actually enabled me to relax.
Yeah.
Especially when I felt really, really tense in my shoulders from a long day. It somehow just gave that little bit of relief and allowed the muscles to let go a little bit. And I think that's it's amazing how, we're talking about relaxation that, from a mental standpoint, it's amazing how tied our physical bodies are with this. And that many times when we are, irritated or disturbed, something we're short-tempered, blah, blah, blah. If you really start looking, my shoulder has been bothering me or something like that.
Yeah.
And it affects us.
I was just going to say it's because, like when we feel stressed, we tend to truly feel it in our heads.
Yeah.
Most people, if you say, hey, how do you know if you're feeling stressed? And a lot of people, I get a headache or, blah, blah, something along those lines more so than, oh man, my shoulder's not up and, whatever. And it's like, there it is. We carry all that pressure in our shoulders, our neck, like you said, even down into our hands and stuff, just all of that, our legs, all of it. And it is amazing how much it's why I totally understand people who go get massages. You know, it's, you're going for that, you know, I just blanked.
The stress release, basically, through the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is
it
at
helps
the base
mine
of my
too.
neck between my shoulder blades.
Yep.
That's my stress spot, and it, you know, it will actually bump out and form like a lump under my skin.
Yeah.
My muscles.
It's amazing, that lump.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like Sharon every once in a while will be like, oh, you know, and I'm like, whoa, look at this thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I've tended to notice that, you know, women tend to have that more than men.
Yeah.
And I don't know why
I'm
that
not sure
is.
either.
Yeah. Mine,
like they just get that one spot between their shoulder blades where it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if it's just that men ends up more in their lower back.
yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's wild.
I've noticed mine tends to be in my neck is where I notice it mostly. And I think it's because when I get tensed, I clench my jaw a lot. And I think it pulls, you know, it tightens everything in your neck when you do that. And I think that's why I end up pulling it there. For me, the easiest way to tell when I'm really stressed is I get, like cluster type stress headaches, like that are just brutal. So, you know, you know, they're all within that migraine bullshit, you know, sorry. You know,
Yeah. I also get indigestion.
No, yeah, that'll do it too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it always hits my stomach, and I get acid reflux and stuff whenever I'm stressed out.
Yeah, the article I read this one time, it was all, you know, like they talk about your, just, you know, the butterflies in the stomach and all those kind of things, the emotional connection between and our stomachs and our brains.
Yeah.
And they actually went into detail about how many nerves endings there are in our stomachs.
Yep.
And it's literally an intricate system that was like, whoa. And, you know, it blew me away just how complex it was and how it's literally tied to our brain. And no wonder that, you know, the where we get the butterflies in the stomach, you know, you're emotional, you know, you're falling in love or whatever, and you get nervous. And the same thing with when you get stressed, you end up with indigestion and all sorts of other stuff like that. And that's why that's something that, you know, when I did the show with Angela, we stressed that a lot. We talked a lot about that because your whole ability to digest, you know, this is why she really stressed this idea of not multitasking when you're eating, not, you know, taking the time out to eat,
and
to sit quietly, to eat, to give your body a chance to actually digest your food well, to assimilate it into your system.
Right.
You know, because most of us will gobble something down and then we run.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how well are we processing that food?
Right.
You know, with those things considered.
Yeah. Well, not to mention, when you distract yourself while you're eating, you tend to ignore the signal that your stomach sends your brain saying, hey, I'm full, stop eating.
That's the other one. Yep.
And when you just focus on eating, you get that message then generally. And, you know, so there's that. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. When I was sitting at the doctor's office the other day, you know how they always have those TV things on with like, you know, sports and news, and they usually will have commercials for medicines and whatnot. And they were talking about, like constipation from opioid use. And, you know, and I was like, I was sitting there going, you know, and like grabbed my phone because I was like, I'm going to look up why that does it, because I've always wondered, but I didn't realize it. Well, then the commercial went into telling me why, which is exactly what you were just talking about, because those opioids block those receptors, and there's a bunch of those receptors in our stomach too.
Oh.
So as a result, when it shuts them off, those things help move things through your body. So when they're shut off, they're not there to work anymore. So now your body has to work harder to move things through. So I was like,
interesting.
I was like, that makes so much sense. And again, it's, you know, over the last, 5-ish years, we're seeing more and more and more of these studies where they're looking at stomachs to see, like, at the stuff in your stomach to see how that relates to our brains more and more. You know, like, how does depression, you know, cause a lot of times depression and, or anxiety and IBS are related. But they're not sure which can cause the other, but they've noticed that a lot of people who have one tend to have the other. You know, that kind of stuff. So there's studies being done and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's crazy how not just like physical as in like, oh, my muscles ache because of my stress, but also like inside my organs are, you know, so it's, yeah. The next one on here is, kind of the same way as the rub your feet over a golf ball or whatever, which is squeeze a stress ball.
Yes.
You know, or you can I used to use a squash, or a is it handball, whatever it is. They're little blue ones that you, like when you squeeze, they kind of give resistance also. So you're kind of giving your grip a workout too, but those are really good for it too. But it's, I used to use those quite a bit, but again, that was more because I was just trying to work. I was trying to kind of use it as like work on my, hand and wrist because of, you know, again, from all my art classes, I used to have tendinitis occasionally in my left arm. So, which is,
makes sense.
Yeah, it's very common in artists. So, the next one is drip cold water on your wrists.
That's interesting.
I've never heard this one. It says, when stress hits, head for the bathroom, drop some cold water on your wrist and behind your earlobes. There are major arteries right underneath the skin, so cooling these areas can help calm the whole body. Well, I'm going to have to remember that since I'm freaking on fire all the time.
When I was in high school and playing soccer, we would, and it would be a ripping hot day and we're just running.
Yeah.
That was what our coach taught us is like, go over to the, if you're starting to, and you feel it in your head, when you're,
I know.
You're just overheating.
Yeah.
Right. He said, run over there and rather than drinking water, take a drink of water that will, wet your mouth.
Right. But don't gulp it. Yeah.
Just run the water over your wrists. And then that's why they recommend, or a towel just on the back of your neck.
Yeah.
But so what we would do is we'd run the water over your wrists and then over the back of our neck, and you'd feel it instantly. Your body temperature go down.
Yeah. I was told to, like, for the longest time that, like, cause I'm always running hot. So, I would put an ice pack, like, on the back of my neck to try to cool off. And when I had heat exhaustion the last couple of years when we went to a couple of beer fests, this last time when I went to the tent, the medic tent, and the guy had me put ice packs under my arms, and he said under your arms and behind under your arms and behind your knees because there's not a lot of muscle to block the cold from getting to your system. Whereas if you
have those arteries there.
Yep. Whereas if you put it like on the back of your neck, you still have that, your big thick neck muscles it's got to cool through them. And, but, he still had me, was like, yeah, the neck still works pretty well. But he's like, when you're this kind of hot, he's like, go to armpits and the back of the knees because it'll help cool your blood down or cool your body down and it'll cycle through your whole system. And he was right. I couldn't believe how quick I started feeling better after doing that. So, yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good tip.
Good tip for everybody out there, too, between the two. I've never done the water on the wrist, though. That's interesting. I'd never heard that one. So, makes sense. I just had never heard it. The next one is brush your hair, which totally makes sense. I know so many women over the years that, like, that's it, that they relax themselves by brushing their hair. Or if someone else brushes their hair, it really relaxes them.
Yep.
And
it just goes to that cranial sacral massage kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like whenever I get a massage, they usually, like the last 5 minutes or so, they'll do that, the head and I always feel like it feels so good. I'm like, man, I want to have an hour of that. And so I finally booked an hour, or I got a gift certificate with a local person, for a cranial sacral massage. And oh, that was heaven. It's amazing because you think about how many nerves,
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of nerves in your scalp.
Yeah. It's something that some people overlook when they go get a haircut, was that whole, like, getting your hair washed. Cause a lot of times when they're washing your hair, they're kind of giving you a
that
massage.
feels totally good too. Yeah.
And, my sister was a stylist for a while, and she's like, I used to have people come in that, she's like, I swear they were coming in more for that than anything else, and I was like, I don't doubt it, it feels great,
That's cool.
Yeah. And it's super really relaxing. Yeah. But it makes sense. Like I was just talking a little bit ago, when I carry stress, I clench my jaw, I get headaches. So to get that massage, it's relaxing all of that stuff that I'm carrying in my head. So, it makes perfect sense to me. Plus,
absolutely.
Plus I've had them, not like Heno. I didn't get, a full hour of it. So that's, man. Hey, here's a question for you, just out of curiosity. At any point, did it seem like overstimulation?
Never.
It just seems like at a certain point it might because of all the nerves right there. So,
Yeah, it really didn't. And because it does, awesome. They end up including, your neck and things. And actually, she was the one that helped me figure out, what vertebrae I was having. So I had a real, this crazy back pain issue where I literally couldn't move my arm up over my head. Like I couldn't like my arm wouldn't stay up. I had basically had a nerve getting pinched off, and I had this swollen muscle, and it didn't matter how much we worked on the muscle, it didn't matter. Right. Mm-hmm. And I was doing physical therapy and all this stuff. And was when I saw her that, she was having me move my arms a little bit as she was doing some shoulder work, and she moved my arm, and all of a sudden the pain went away.
Huh.
Like she moved my head in a way.
Oh, okay.
And right. Because I couldn't get comfortable. I'm on a massage bed like you would be, right? And my arms are hanging over the sides, and I had that shooting pain down my arm no matter what. And at one point she moved my head like sideways.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, whoa, what did you just do? And she's like, what? I'm like, all the pain left my arm just now. And so she moved my head again and found the spot. And with that, she's like, go to your chiropractor or your doctor, whatever it is, and say, it was C whatever, She literally nailed the vertebrae. And this is when I went to see a chiropractor for the first time, and he did an x-ray, and it confirmed exactly that exact vertebrae.
Wow. That's awesome.
was closing in, like the bone was growing in.
Sure. Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah. And there was never that. It's one of those, I think you don't get overstimulated because you just, it's just like with any sort of meditation technique, you hit this level and you're just there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like you get to a depth of relaxation and you just stay there. And the greatest part is when you leave, it just goes with you for and massage is like that for me too. I leave, and for at least a couple hours afterwards, I have that feeling. It goes with me.
Right.
And that's why, boy, am I tangenting right now, but that's why I love meditation, is because when I do a meditation and I go on to do whatever it is, I take that with me.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that completely makes sense. And that's great, great forms of relaxation.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. We're at just about an hour. We're just about halfway through this list. How do you guys feel about maybe picking the rest of this up next week?
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do a two-parter.
Okay. So, yeah, let's do that then.
All right, cool. Well, folks, if you like what you heard tonight and you have some stuff you want to add to it, reach out to us and let us know what you're thinking. If you want to continue the conversation, reach me at Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. That's Jen with a G. You can also reach the show at our website at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com.
Yep.
And our email is thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com. And how about you, Heno?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Heno, and you can find me on Facebook at Heno Heiter, or get a hold of us through our Facebook page, which is at
Facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. You can also find the show on Twitter at The Crazy Life Pod. You can reach out to me on Twitter at Stunami. The other podcast I'm on, if you'd like to check it out, is at salty_language on Twitter, or at saltylanguage.com for all the other links and everything. That show's not safe for work, so, be warned. Ooh, boy, I totally lost my place.
It was such a seamless transition.
I know, I was doing great, and then all of a sudden, just all over. We're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. And if you have the time, and you'd like to help the show out, please go on, if you're on iTunes, jump on and leave us a review, rate us, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And Stitcher and other apps, if they have a like or a share option, please use those because that helps us get more noticed when people search. And, I think that's all the links. One thing I haven't mentioned in a while is our intro song is done by the lovely and talented Henno that's on our show here. So if you didn't happen to listen or haven't listened in a while, go back and check that out because it's good times. And then also I'll remind everybody we're not therapists, doctors, trained professionals of any kind. And please do not see the show as a replacement for therapy. If you need help, please reach out. There's tons of places and people out there willing to help you. Again, over on our Facebook page, there's a notes section. I just added 1 or 2 new links on that. For if you're in a crisis situation or if you need help finding a therapist or whatever, there's all sorts of links on there. Even if money's an issue. NAMI.org is great about trying to help you pair up with someone you can afford. So please reach out to someone there. And again, if you're feeling, like you may harm yourself or others, definitely reach out to someone, whether it's a friend, a doctor, or just, please get help. And don't wait until you're at like the final stages of like a suicide or something along those lines. If you catch yourself planning it, having ideations more regularly than before, or feeling a strong urge toward it, please make sure that you reach out to somebody. Again, there's all sorts of people out there willing to help, and you just have to ask for it because sometimes they don't notice it. And lastly, please reach out to somebody. Tell them you love them, tell them you appreciate them. Just see how they're doing. Because again, you never know when that, just that little bit of reaching out might save somebody's life or make their day or whatever. In worst case scenario, you've done a good deed. So, please do that. And, that's all I got.
Awesome. And with that, folks, remember, in the words of Frankie, relax, don't do it when you want to go to it. Relax, don't do it when you want to come. Wait a minute. This is going a whole nother direction. Just relax, folks.
And massage.
Have a good day.